Hey everybody, it's Valerie Simoneau, and I am Director of Operations for Knighton Real Estate Advisors and co-founder of Strategic Admin. So I just want to let you guys know we had some technical difficulties last week during our call, and so we now have pre-recorded. So if you had any questions that you had asked last week that you're hoping to hear in this week's video, I apologize. We did have some technical issues where we were kicked out of Zoom for a bit there, so we wanted to redo it so you had all the information with no interruptions. So let's get started. So this week's call is top 3 systems to build your team, to build your business. And anyone who's been on my calls the last few weeks will have noticed that we've talked about a few of these things. And then there's also new things that I've implemented in there. Now the systems I'm going to share with you, I'm not going to go in any particular order, so so even if I start with one doesn't mean it's the most important. And again, I just want to let everyone know this is what worked best for us. These are just our systems and what's got us to where we are today. And these systems can be changeable. You can take them and tailor them to your own size business. From single agents to teams, these systems will start from the ground up and get you forward. And what I always say is that whenever you're creating a system, so if you're an admin on this call, if you're creating a system for your team, always create that system and expand it already. So for example, if you're a team of 4 and you're building a new system, build it out to accommodate 8, accommodate 10. Like if you know that you're growing, make sure that system's big enough that it'll accommodate growth in the moment. And don't just build a system for what you're in now, like for what you have now. So with that being said, let's get started. So like I said, I don't have it in any particular order here. And I just want to say my system is really slow right now too, guys, so I do apologize. And I just need to get this little box out of the way so I can get to my screen. So the 3 systems to impact your business. Oh yes, we are slow. And in no particular order. So we have listing systems, business tracking, and database. I'm going to get started on business tracking because one, it's actually my favorite thing to talk about. And for any admin, as you're growing a team, one of the things I can't stress is how important it is to know your team numbers, know where to find them, and be always aware of whose goal is what. Okay? And for instance, we track everything. We track lead sources. We track all of our leads on our team. We track GCI, we track total units, the works, how many calls made a day. And the only reason we're able to do those things is through our business tracking systems that we have in place. And why is it important to do that? For growth, for opportunity, to know where you sit. And we'll get into all of those small details as well. And again, I do apologize, it's going to go really slow for us. So business tracking, track your work. It's so important. So important to have a good tracking system in place. So if anyone is listening to this call right now and you don't have that system in place, I'm hoping today's call can change your mindset around tracking numbers and just see how important it is for any scale of your business. So we use Excel sheets. We use a success planner for every agent, and it's quarterly. So each quarter we have a new planner for the agents. And at the end of that quarter, they're able to go into the back of their planner and kind of close off their quarter so they know where their business came from, how many deals they did, how many hours of lead gen they did, and how many open houses they've done. That's another thing we track on our team as well too. Sheet of paper. That's the next thing. We know there's some of us that still collectively write down our information on a sheet of paper, and there's nothing wrong with that. Our team did that for probably the first year that we were getting things organized because we didn't know what tracking system to use. A CRM and a whiteboard. So for all of us out there, we know how much realtors love whiteboards. Our entire office is covered top to bottom with a whiteboard, and I get it now. And I'll show you a little bit later what we use our whiteboard for at our office. What do you track? So again, guys, I can only tell you how our team tracks. Everyone can track different stats, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way. First, you have to know what your goal is. And then once you have a goal in place, you'll know what you need to track in order to get to your success. So a few examples of things that you can track are calls made, your METs, appointments booked, appointments gone on, BRA or listings signed, deals done, GCI, hours of lead gen, types of lead gen, how many open houses you went on or went to, and how many leads from each open house and how many converted to an appointment. Okay? Bear with me as we're going slow. Like I said, you have to goal plan so you know what you're tracking as well. So it's really important. I'm going to stress that a few times. Know what your goal is. Type of leads to track, all leads. But if you need a reminder, a few of the really important ones are your social media, your sphere, your call-ins, your open houses, and your referrals. So when I say social media, that was one that actually our team is still trying to figure out the best tracking solution for that. So right now what we track and how we track social media is if anyone comments on or responds to an open house video we've done. Now, not in the comment section of Facebook. They have to personally reach out to you and talk to you about real estate and have general questions, tips, or want to set up an appointment with you. So that's how we track social media through Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So we do not track comments on a post. Those are nothing. Those are strictly comments on a post unless the intent is for it to lead elsewhere. And then how many we convert. So Facebook messages, Instagram messages, LinkedIn messages, we take those, and if you're able to convert that into an appointment. So we track those daily. So if someone reaches out to one of our agents via Instagram and wants to know about real estate or wants to meet with them, they put that down as an contact on their sheet and what kind of contact it was via social media, via Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, whatever it was. Sphere, call-ins, open house, and referrals. So we track everything, and I will show you our lead tracking sheet just so you see how important it is and how you could use this tracking sheet from any size of your team or your business. And why is it important to track? It's important because you need to know your business. You need to have a handle on it. And if you're looking to make a hire of a first admin or to build a team, it's good for your admin to see that you know what your numbers are so they know what the numbers are and how to get there. If you want to grow a team, building a platform for what your team offers, definitely you can start with, you can say, this is how many, these are our top lead sources, this is how many leads our team does or gets, this is how many open houses our team has been able to do, and how many listings we hold. And it goes back to goal planning. Now, when I say goal planning, because I already mentioned you have to have that goal in place before you can start tracking, this is for your next year's numbers. So you can take your last year's numbers and see how well you did and be able to project your business for the following year. So every October, we have a year-end review where we sit down with our agents and we tell them where our top lead sources were, how many open houses they did, how many people came to those open houses, because we track those numbers as well. And then we just celebrate that. And the only reason we're able to do that is because we've tracked our numbers all year round. The open house one was when we started last year, halfway through the year. So we didn't have accurate numbers. We just had 6 months worth of open house numbers. So we're so excited to see this year, even in this new environment that we're in. So what we do is we track if we're doing our virtual open houses, if anybody reaches out to us via those virtual open houses and wants to look at the property or go see another property, we're still tracking those numbers. And then know if you're accomplishing what you set out to do. You'll only know this by being able to see what you've been tracking. So it's really important that you stay focused on that. And then in a few minutes, our screen will go into place. Who holds you accountable for lead tracking? If you're a single agent, that's got to be really hard because you've got so many avenues of your business you have to take care of, and it's paperwork, it's clients, it's calls, it's lead gen. So it's really tough when you're trying to do all of the best systems you possibly can. How do you hold yourself accountable to tracking those numbers? Because that's probably the easiest one to give up on. And a lot of people will say, I'll get to that, I'll write it down, or you write it down and you don't even know where you wrote it down. So it's really hard. So who can help you and who can hold you accountable and keep you pushing when you need to stay focused? And on the flip side, by doing that, who are you helping in the process as well? So accountability partner, a mentor, a coach, these are all great examples of people who can help hold you accountable to your numbers and keep you focused on getting closer to your goal. And again, we're just waiting for the screen to load. How to track numbers. So as I mentioned above, a great tracking system needs to be in place. Excel spreadsheets can show, and I'll show you our team tracker one as well. They're designed for tracking deals, GCI. You can tailor an Excel sheet to your business. It doesn't need to be what I'm about to show you. You can scale it to whatever size of business you want and whatever it is you're tracking. You could also use a whiteboard broken down into categories. So for us at our office, we use a whiteboard, and it's delegated up into or set up into different categories. So the listing or the buy, the property address, the conditions, and when they're up. So we put the date when the condition's up, if it's financing, mortgage, or sorry, financing, home inspection, and then the date that it's up, the actual closing date. And eventually we will put the firm price, but we don't do that until everything's taken care of and the deposit slips into the brokerage. We'll document the firm price, and then everyone can see it on our team. We use it on our Monday morning meetings as well, so we can keep track. And we always refer back to it. We have a planner for our team. So like I mentioned before, it's a quarterly planner. So there's 4 planners a year our team gets. And they're able to go and take last year's number, and in a category in the planner, it'll say where I sat last year to this year. So they'll be able to say like, oh, first quarter I was at 20 deals. First quarter this year, I'm at 19 or 18. So they're able to kind of see a comparison on where they sat compared to last year. So again, it's really great for someone who really wants to have that control over their business. And I really feel strongly enough that it's a great tool to have, just so you know if you're growing. A system like CTE, which is what we use for our team, tracks breakdowns, conversions, etc. So I'm going to just jump in right now and show you our CTE. And again, guys, I apologize. So CTE, we do not use it at a high level. We use it strictly for 2 tools, and that's it. This thing is packed with so much information, guys. If it was utilized at a high level, this would be the only lead tracker we need, to be quite honest. So our agents have an app on their phone for their lead gen, and every Sunday night they input their numbers for the week. So I'm already going to just show you right here. We have this girl, Leah. She's actually our ISA, and she tracks her numbers just like she was an agent. So it shows here that Leah did 978 calls. 162 contacts were made out of that, 12 nurtures. And then if you look across here, she was able to book 3 buyer appointments from that. Now, here's the great thing about tracking numbers as well, and especially using Leah, your ISA, as an example. If this was 0 all across the board, but she had 12 nurtures, 162 contacts out of 978 dials, it might be a conversion issue. So it might be something in the conversation to have with Leah around converting her calls into appointments. But we wouldn't know that. We wouldn't be able to help her or assist her if we didn't have this tracking system in place. Anyone can tell you something and tell you they've done this, this, and this, but this doesn't lie. This is all right here in front of us. And the reason why it says I say it doesn't lie is because I can go and look at what her lead gen moments were. Was it Mojo? Was it just in our database with our triple dialer in our database? And I can actually go in and still count her dials in Mojo and in our database and compare it to that. And then I'm going to even take it one step farther. No one would lie about their numbers on the team because they're hurting themselves, nobody else. They'd be lying just to themselves. So we don't really have teammates that kind of inflate what they do. These are all accurate, and I know for a fact that 978 dials and 12 nurtures, she did. And then one of the things we like about CTE, the other feature I will show you guys, is we can implement on the front at the very beginning of every year the business plan. So every single agent's individual goal is tracked in here. So when I say goal, I mean like their GCI, not their goal, like vacations, stuff like that. And we can track all their GCI goals, what they want to do for the year. And then it breaks it down into what's the average sales price for listing and buys, the splits once you remove their splits, and then it breaks it down to how many appointments they actually need to go on in order to reach their goal. And that was strictly by entering in what their goal was, their income percent of deals done, and we're able now to hold them accountable to their goal and say and ask them if they're meeting their if it's 2 deals a week they need to do. And then one more, if it will actually go to it. I'm not sure if it will because it looks like it's frozen. One of the nice tools about this is using this at our Monday morning meeting. We're able to sit there and kind of show everybody where we sit on the team. And somebody had asked me during the call, do you share team numbers with the entire team? And I'll tell you what we do in our team. The answer is yes. Every Monday we talk about our deals from the week before, our appointments from the week before, and our agents have what's called a wildly important goal meeting right after our Monday morning meeting as a team. And they break down their appointments, their signed BRAs or listings and their lead gen hours. They go a little bit more specific in the goals, and they do it as a team so that they can actually support and help one another. And then rather than sitting there and getting into, okay, Henry, why did you only go on this many appointments as opposed to this many when your goal was this? We wait and have the more in-depth conversations in our one-on-ones the very same day. So we do this as a team. And one of the most important things about this is that our team supports one another. So if we had an agent who was lacking, just shy of hitting their goal because of whatever reason, there are agents on our team who will actually say, I have this client I haven't been able to get in touch with. Why don't you see if you can connect with them in order to help them get to their goal? And the only reason they know that he's not like that is because, one, we're having that conversation during a Monday morning meeting and he's tracking his numbers. So again, it all boils down to business tracking. So this tool right here is kind of like a competition board within the team. And before, when we were all in the office together, we would pull this up and say, you know, here you have Henry, who's, well, I went a little bit too far, guys. It is so slow. Oh, there we go. So they'll see, and you'll see Henry. It'll motivate Henry. No one on our team is going, oh my gosh, look at Henry, hasn't done anything. No one's saying that. Henry is saying, I got to get up there. Sandra's kicking butt. I want to be up where Sandra is. And it's such a friendly competition within a team. And again, guys, it all boils down to having the right team members in place. Not every team can have this kind of morale and this ability to do this. You can, but our team has been like this since the very beginning. So we track numbers and we share our success. And then the other sheet I wanted to show you guys is our team lead tracking sheet. So before we end up moving on past tracking into database, I wanted to share this as well. This is our team lead tracking sheet. So this one I use specifically. I track the leads for our team. I have them all go to one email address, or it comes to me via text. And I make sure we do a round robin system. So someone had also asked about that. We do a round robin system where first person to join the team starts off the list to the very last person. So it'd be Shannon, Justin, and then all the way down to the bottom to our newest agent, Grant. And then I just rotate it through that list. We track where the source of the lead came from, who the person is responsible for bringing that lead to the team. If it's just a team lead, then we put create a team. If it's a buy, sell, list, lease, home evaluation, who the lead was given to. And then if they were, how I notified the agent of the lead. Did I send them an email, text, call, sync, or was it multiple leads? And then it's really important that we put the address the lead is inquiring about and the client, and the lead's name. And the reason why we do this is because if that person should call and also look on realtor.ca, I'm not giving the lead out to two different people. I can look and say, okay, it's definitely this person calling for this property again. I'm going to make sure that that stays with the same agent. And again, if you have the ability to do an Excel sheet like this, guys, like it's crazy when you want to look back on this. So we can see for the month of, what month are we in? March, that we had over 28 leads come into the team. 28 of those were buy, and now we're even able to go over here and see what our top lead sources were. So realtor.ca was our top lead source for the month of March. And it'll do this all the way to the year end. So at year end, we can sit and say a total of 300 and some leads came to the team this year outside of, or just via realtor.ca, 0.2 homes, whatever. And then break it down to how many, where our actual lead sources were. It's incredible. Not gonna lie, it takes time to set up. But once it's set up and you're good to go, I mean, this is probably one of the best tools our team can have. And then now we're going to move into database. We have yet to talk about database, and it's probably one of my favorite things to talk about. So if anyone ever asked me, like, what would you invest in, or what would you say is the best investment to have? Outside lead generation tools, database, because you need the database for everything. So whatever lead gen you're doing, you need a place to put those people. For every lead tracking you're doing, you need to put them somewhere. So database is kind of like the foundation, and it's the gold mine So having a good one in place, and I know there's a lot that we use Top Producer for years, and I think it was like $20 a month. And then we made the switch to something that as the team grew, we kind of outgrew Top Producer, and there's a few tech things in there that maybe were a bit archaic for our team. So we jumped into Commissions Inc., and that's the one we go with and we use. Now, mind you, we only probably use that at 60%. It's a huge system, but we track it. We just basically use it for a strong database and landing pages, to be quite honest. So when you add a new contact, I'm going to give you some of the best advice I possibly can because of the mistakes that our team has made. So that's one of the things about these calls is why I love them so much, is that I'll always try to find a way so that way no one has to make these mistakes. And if you can start your business or start building a system at a high level already from people who have been there and kind of gone through the bumps and grinds of it, that's probably one of my favorite things about these calls is the ability to be able to help people get there faster and to learn from my mistakes. In my operations manual, I often write Val's mistake column and like what I did, don't do. And I always say like we have code words for like don't do these things because those are mistakes that I had made. So a few things about a database, and I'll talk to you about 3 or 4 really good little nuggets, guys. So when you add a new contact to a database, make sure all the information is there so you can get it all done up at the beginning. Name, address, all of that stuff. And immediately set your contact up to an 8x8. I knew I was missing a page there. Here we go. So name, address, email, and then we label our database A, Bs, and Cs. So A's would be people who are looking to purchase from 0 or transact 0 to 6 months, 6 months to 12, and then 12 months and out. And then that's how our agents kind of handle their database. And then having a target database, setting up specific marketing for each edition. And this is another thing too. This is one of the ones we're going to get to a little bit later. Having a great campaign and email blast. And the minute you add somebody to the database, instantly set them up on an 8x8 so you never have to go back in and do that. Here's one of the things, guys. If you right now have a database of 4,000 people and you don't have any sort of campaign or marketing in place and you're on this call going, oh my God, I got to do this, that's a lot of work for somebody. Even if you have an admin and yourself going at it, that's a lot of work. So I'm telling you, for the moment now you start entering your people into your database, immediately set them up to whatever campaign you have in place. And someone had asked on the call, does the admin do that or does the agent? It can go 2 ways. So the admin should be setting up the campaigns and the email blast systems on the back end into the database so that when the agent gets on there and goes to add a client, he could just simply put what type of 8x8 he wants to start them on or what sort of campaign you want to start them on. And then it might take a little bit of work and you might have to change things up. For us on our team, our CRM actually is very tailored to each individual agent. So at this point now, we don't have to go into the database and put them into a campaign or email blast. Our CRM has built a lot of great templates for our agents. So they can go in and they can pick their own personalized template and change it to kind of look like it's coming from them. So it's a really great tool. And it does save a lot of time. We were at the place where we didn't have people on campaigns and email blasts. And there was a couple people that we've probably lost out on, or opportunity we lost out on because we didn't have people set up properly in the database. So one little tip today, ensure all the information is correct and immediately set them up to your campaign. From this moment on, anybody that you add to your database, set them up. And we talked about the investment behind a good CRM. It's a really good investment to have something in, like I said, this is your gold mine. And in just a few minutes, it's going to load here, guys. So again, just a reminder, make sure all their information is in there, email address, phone number, and if you're missing any key pieces, call them and get it. As you're entering them into the database, just say, hey, you know, like I know we just got off the phone. I didn't get your email address and I want to make sure I can email you too, just in case phone doesn't work. Or whatever it is that you need. If it's vice versa, if it's an email and you need their phone number, whatever you can do to get that and make sure all the information is in there. You even want to get their if you can, and I know you could, there's other ways to get their address, but if they're a renter, they're not going to be on Geo Warehouse. And if there's somebody that's going to be a potential to buy, make sure you can at least get their address so that you can send them mail as well. And setting them up for a good 8x8. And I'm going to get into an example of a good 8x8 below. It's just a a standard template for anybody. And again, it could be tailored to any team, any business, no matter what size it is. Put reminders. Okay, so this is the other little nugget, guys. Put reminders in place to call as soon as you add to database. So as soon as you put somebody into your database, set them up with a reminder. Whether that reminder be call you in a week, depending on what your conversation was, where you left it at, where you're going to connect next, put that reminder in there. Make sure it goes to your phone or your email, your calendar, whatever it is, so it reminds you. And then when you log in every day to your database, which everybody should be, because that's where your follow-ups come from, you immediately have your follow-ups in place. So some people don't do this, and then it gets to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I meant to say, I told that guy I was going to call him, and I never did. If you had a reminder and something to remind you a few minutes before, it'll just set you apart from all the other people who don't put the reminders in. Making labels for each other. This is a big one, guys. So this is something huge on our team. So labeling in your database, if it's a realtor, a sphere, a family, a friend, and what other labels you can possibly have. And this is why it's so important for this. And this actually is one that our team still works on, and we're still trying to figure out how to perfect something like this. And I mean, we'll never get to perfection, but we're definitely looking for ways to kind of keep this flow going. So we have an agent on our team who's a musician. And so what he's done is he's categorized his database. So under labels, he's got musician clients. So either clients that are musicians, clients who love music, and he sends an email blast to them of his schedule where he is. So wherever he's going to be performing his gigs on the evenings and weekends, and they only get it. If you're holding any realtor-specific events, any, what do you call them, career nights, and you want to send an email blast, it'll only target the realtor people you're looking for, or the people that you have documented in your database looking to get into real estate. So it is so good to label every single person in your database. And then to take it one step farther, let's just say on your friend, if you go to Facebook and your friends list, you can actually individually categorize people to be friends, acquaintances. You can tailor those to say golf buddies, golf this, these, and then people who are on your Facebook. I mean, we're not friends with everybody in our Facebook. I know, it's crazy. We're not. We're all acquaintances. Some people we don't even know that are on our Facebook. But let's say you have a group of people you see consistently that love golf. You can put them on that list of friends. And then when it comes time to actually Facebook message, you can choose your golf list. So let's say you have tickets for the Canadian Open, or you have a contest you want to run for golfers, or a great golf tournament coming up. Imagine if you could just send that, say, hey, I know you like golf, and I don't know if you saw this, but join this Facebook group, or this, or here's this great tournament coming up. I just want to know if you want to come, or I'm running a contest for Canadian Open, whatever it looks like. And imagine that. So at the end of the day, is it a lot of work? It is. It's a lot of work to get it set up, but it's going to take seconds afterwards to create that relationship. And you're building a bond, and you're building a relationship with people via Facebook. And simply all you're doing is just sending them a, hey, I saw this, thought of you. Hey, check out this coupon for whatever golfing place is there. And then that person is on the other end going, oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you. Had no idea. And you're building trust, not talking about real estate. And it's just a great value add. And then imagine if you get to the golfing thing, the tournament, whatever it is, and you run into them there. And you have the opportunity now to have a face-to-face. So what a great connection to make. So labels are really important when you're dealing with your database. So make sure when we get off this call, go through and make sure you've labeled your clients. I know it sounds so bad to say that, but you know what I mean, like a good label. And document how they want to be communicated with, guys. This can be really frustrating. As realtors or any business owner in any industry, we always want to call people because we want to talk to them on the phone. We want to call. We know that if they can just hear us talk, they'll want to work with us. And we have to be respectful that not everybody likes that. And I'll be honest, we've learned from experience, the more we call people because it's our level of communication and what we like, and they're telling us, I said don't call, I prefer text. They're just going ahead and thinking, how do they not listen to me? Like, they obviously don't care. They didn't hear anything I had to say. Document with them, document how they want to be treated. Treat them like they're the only person that exists when you're talking to them, and don't say, I just want to call and give you a quick hi. Okay, you're busy? Okay, bye. Don't limit yourself to 30-second calls with these people just to say you made the call. So if they tell you they want to text them. You might have to text them 2 or 3 times before they actually move to the phone call stage. It's almost like a dating thing. If they say email them for a little bit. And then you know what? Maybe on week 3 when you're emailing and you're frustrated, give them a call and say, I know we email all the time, but I just want to hear your voice. And you're just building trust and you're starting off on the right foot. And just because you want to talk on the phone because that's the kind of business we're in doesn't mean they do. And now we're going to get into the 8x8. Do you have one in place already? And if so, is it something that you're updating daily, weekly, or I guess you wouldn't update it daily or weekly, but is it something you're definitely looking at updating? The 8x8 is a combination of text, calls, emails, mail, and items of value over an 8-week period of time. And then for those of us just starting this process, the next slides are a great start. And for those of us, it could be just a reminder to restart the database touches. So for us, when we get a new client, we put in this, or a new contact, we put it into the database and we immediately put them up to this 8x8. And it's a very simple 8x8. It's non-intrusive. And again, you can tailor it to whatever it is your team needs. Just taking me a little bit of time to get there, guys. The internet is that slow for me today. Okay, week 1, call, emails, text, just to stay in touch and to get them acquainted with like yourself again. Week 2, text or email and a BombBomb video. Some people like to send the BombBomb videos as a personalized touch to that email. Week 3, so it's social media posts. So at this point, you have already added them to all of your social media. Week 4, market report. This is a great one. Every month we send out our RAB stats, from a real estate board, our stats out. We get great feedback, and we've been doing this consistently for almost 5 years. Week 5, calls, texts, just checking in to see if they have any questions, if they got the market report that was sent. You could even mail the market report. For those of them that don't go onto Facebook or don't have email addresses, there are people out there still that don't do that. You can mail the market report to them. Week 6, handwritten note card, maybe with a coffee gift card, something of a value to them. Week 7, you can send them the blog post or a podcast link. And week 8, text or call or email again. And then after that, you should know what kind of relationship you're going to have. If they still haven't answered, you can run this 8x8 again, or you can move into something a little bit more intricate. We actually have almost like a 36 touch point right now with our clients, and everyone's tailored differently. So we know the ones that are unsubscribed to emails, but they still allow us to call them. So we just be mindful, like when you get to those ones where it's a text, call, or email, that you're mindful that they don't want an email, okay? So again, this is a standard template, just a great one to get started or a great one to restart to get your database thriving again. And if anyone has any questions, that's great. Please reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to help out with that. And now we're going to move into listing systems. So we actually didn't get to talk about this on our call because we ran out of time. We spent a lot of time on database. So I might do a one-off call later on about database for anybody who's really interested because it excites me. And it's just something that I need to be better at. Everybody needs to be better at. This is definitely one that we'll never perfect. So listing systems, you want to be innovative and you want to bring good quality. And we have a time right now where we can revamp all of our systems because of where we are to fill all the needs and the gaps and any feedback that we've gotten over the last few years, the last few months about our listing presentations or listing feedbacks from like the start to finish process. We were able to kind of take all that feedback, and if there was anything negative, use it. And tailor these systems. So the one thing actually, if we're going to talk about feedback, is I want to express to you, a lot of people are going out there trying to get reviews right now. And your reviews come from your listings and how you treated the client during the process. And a lot of people are afraid to put bad reviews on. Our team will leave our bad reviews up. Obviously, you have those people, I think they're called catfishers or bots, or people who just log in to say nasty things, but you never actually know them or have done business with them, and I probably have the term all wrong. So those are ones obviously you would fix, but for actual clients that you've worked with that are putting great feedback in there, we keep it. We're human. We make mistakes. And it's holding us accountable to being better. And if everyone in the industry or everyone in the world can see it, if it's a Facebook review, I mean, it hurts, guys. It really hurts. And a lot of times people think that we're crazy, but we're human. And if we had all perfect reviews on Facebook, someone's going to be suspicious that we're hiding something. So we're very transparent as a team, and nobody's perfect, and everybody knows there's mistakes made. So we use that as an accountability tool to always remind us where we need to be better. Okay, so going into listing systems, I'm just going to kind of do a rapid fire here of some things that you should probably have in place going back out into when we go out into the back into routine, I guess. And this can all be done virtually. So when I use this, or when I talk about this listing system, I'm talking about the way it was, and you'll see at times it can be added to the virtual world as well. This is a very easy transition. When a lead becomes an appointment, do you have a plan in place, and how are you setting up your listing appointment for success? So what I mean by that is, after it becomes an appointment, do you just go on that appointment? What are the steps in between when it becomes an appointment to going on that appointment? Do you know what they are, and do you have something in place? What does your listing presentation look like? Do you have one? Because if you don't have a listing presentation, something documented, and a lot of times it's okay if you don't, it really isn't, that's your style. But there's a lot of opportunity right now to create a nice looking listing presentation that'll knock the socks off and will be zero competition for you when you go into that listing appointment. So if you don't have one, maybe it might be a great idea to actually invent one. And how do you determine if you're going on a listing appointment or home evaluation? Either one's great for business, so I'm not saying you treat them differently, because I'll be honest, our team leader back in the day when he was going on home evaluations, 99% of the time it was a listing appointment that he got out of it. So never underestimate the power of a home evaluation, and never go in there thinking they're not interested in actually listing. Because the reality of it is, and I'm talking to you from a consumer standpoint, I'm just not going to have somebody come in and tell me the value of my home. There's an intention behind there. And a lot of times it's because we didn't ask the right questions. We didn't pre-qualify during the call to figure out what that was. And a home evaluation could be they actually were willing to sell, didn't want to tell you that on the phone, because everyone has this preconceived notion that real estate agents are always not that nice. So just remember, home evaluation is just as good as a listing, but how do you determine before you go if it is just a home evaluation? So set yourself up to know these things before you go in. Do you practice your listing scripts? Who can you practice with? Never practice your listing scripts, or never practice your listing on your clients. When I say that, never go into an appointment practicing on your client. Our team our team script practiced every day every Wednesday at lunchtime. We had a lunch hour scripting, and they would sit down there and they would talk about what their objection handlers were, or what their objections were the week before, what any challenges they had, and we would script it right out, so that way we be able to have, and there's 13 of them all giving each other tips and suggestions on how they would have handled it. So never practice your listing appointment on your clients. And then it leads me into the script practicing thing and the objective handling, and practicing your objectives, practicing, when they're saying not right now, but it's just asking the right questions and going in with confidence too. Once the appointment's done, what's your next step? And have you told that to your client? Do you leave the appointment going, we'll be in touch? Or do they actually know when you will be in touch and what that looks like? And that goes back to our team. We have a timeline, and I shared it last week's call. I believe we did the listing appointment last week's call. I shared the timeline. So when they're sitting in front of the client, that client, if they're in agreement and they sign off on listing paperwork, we already have the date that the photographer can come in, the date that a stager would come in should they need to be, and a home cleaner if they need one. So we have those dates lined up. And then we tell them, here's your exclusive period, what this looks like, and then here's when you go live. And we do our live dates Tuesdays and Thursdays. We now open up a Thursday window because we've got enough listings that we can actually accommodate 2 days. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are our live days, typically before noon. And to leave a listing appointment going, okay, great, so this is what this week's going to look like in your head. Say you're there on a Monday night. This is great. The photographer's coming in Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and then we're going to be listing your property next Tuesday. And then we have email communication to the clients right after the listing appointment. So what do you have in place once the appointment's done? And what's the next step? And make sure you're sharing that step with the client, and you're not just going on the back end doing it and then calling them at random times to get more information. If it's a home evaluation, so okay, if it's a listing appointment, what's the next step? We covered that. If it's a home evaluation, how do you follow up? Do you immediately come back to the office or to your home office, and do you put a plan in place? It's got to be based on the conversations you've had with the client, obviously. And if they're saying we're not interested for about 3 to 6 months, do you have a follow-up plan in place for that? Because if you don't, I would start one now. And I would challenge you to go back to any of your home evaluations that you've done within the last year touch point with them, and then start them on a campaign if you haven't already. If you didn't get the listing, you went in there thinking you were going to get the listing, you didn't even get home evaluation information. What's your system around that? I'm going to say it goes back to script practicing and role playing. I mean, if there's no other reason why you didn't get the listing, if there was no other realtor involved, if it wasn't pricing, figure out if it was just maybe it was something to do with you. I don't like saying that, I don't like thinking that, but maybe you need to script it out. So being able to see that, track that, and then come up with the method to get through it. So you won the relationship and you want to keep the good vibes going. So this is what we do. So a lot of the times clients, once you leave the appointment and everyone's like, oh, we're all in that loving stage and what a great opportunity. I love our agent. How do you keep that going? How do you keep that same vibe going throughout the entire process? Simple. Hold yourself to extreme accountability. Keep that vibe going by making sure you show up for them, following through on everything you said during that listing appointment. Communicate with them every single time they've asked you to. Communicate the way they want to be communicated with. And if you say you're going to do something, do it. And if you can't do it, make sure you call them to tell them that. Always be honest with feedback. So we have an agent on our team who, outside of talking to the clients whenever she does, she chooses Wednesdays to call all of her clients on our listing side and talk to them about the feedback from their showings for the entire week. Most clients will want to know daily, and so we accommodate those, but anyone who's just like, no, just call us and give us like whatever feedback on Wednesday, that's fine, because she sets it up in the listing appointment. And be honest. Obviously, I mean, have the conversation with them in a way that communicates best with them. And then what is your open house system, and how do you make them feel like they're the only ones? So when you're carrying multiple listings, I think it's really important that, you know, our clients know that we are. They know that they're not our only clients. However, they don't feel that way. So we have a system in place that when we leave their listing appointment, we say, okay, if we go live on Tuesday, Saturday and Sunday, we're doing double open house. Now in a virtual world, we can do it anytime on social media, and I'll get to that in a second. But in the times that we were just in, we would do Saturday and Sunday open houses for our very first week it goes live. And then we would go to our regular rotation of every other Sunday. And then say we have 2 or 3 open houses that week. They don't need to know on the back end. I don't know if I'm going to be there or somebody else. We all, on Monday mornings, we talk about what listings are coming up. So our agents' names are already out there for that weekend's open house. So on Monday, our agents or our admin will call the listing client and let them know who the agent is going into that open house. We'll never say it's one and then it turns out to be another. We will never do that to our clients. Worst case scenario, if someone's sick, it doesn't happen often for our team, I'll be quite honest. But that would probably be the only time we would ever make an exception to changing out the agent on an open house. And sending them feedback. So we always send feedback after our open houses as well. And I'm going to do a whole call on specific open houses, virtual and when we go back to in-house open houses, which I'm not sure when. Being honest with your timelines up front. So don't tell them one thing. So don't overpromise something and then underdeliver. No, let's do that the opposite. Let's underpromise and overdeliver. So be honest with the timelines. Don't say things to win the listing and win the client. Say exactly what's going to happen and then take it from there. If they have issues with it or if that doesn't fit their needs, let them talk. Let them hear what they have. Hear what they have to say, and then if it works out, you can accommodate that. You go for it. Set them up for safety during COVID. Have a safety outline when you go to your listing appointment, letting them know these are the steps that we take during your listing, during the sale of your home to help you. And no matter if you're on a team or not, clients want to talk to their agents. And this is a big thing for me as an admin personally, where it took a long time. I fought this at the very beginning when a client would call and be like, no, I just want to talk to Chris. He was just here and I just wanted to, because my ultimate goal is to make Chris's life easier. And that was to be able to have conversations with the clients so he wasn't having multiple small conversations. And the reality of it was, I had to not take it personal, to be honest with you. And the reality of it is, you guys go in there and you get the listing. You built the rapport. I mean, they'll talk to us on the back end of stuff, like paperwork stuff, but when it comes to questions about real estate, they want to talk to their agent. It's a great touch point for you, a great way to build trust and build that relationship so that you're actually building referral source as well. So never say, no, no, you just call her back and you talk to her. And if an admin's saying she really wants to talk to you or that client really wants to talk to you, call them. That's what's going to separate you from an average business to an over-the-top client experience, guys. Call your aid or call your client and set up communication. So during the listing appointment, how will I call you? And then, like I said before, I will call you this day with feedback unless you'd like it every day after the appointment. Try to make sure that because I mean, if you're going to do the expectation, you're going to call after every feedback appointment and they're having like 13 showings in in a span of 3 days, that's a lot of communication with your client. Don't overpromise. Okay. So if it's saying I will call you 24 hours after feedback, what we also tell them is a lot of the times our agents don't send feedback. So if you don't hear from us with feedback, it's because the agents never called us with it. We'll follow up and we'll continue to follow up and get some, but the reality of it is sometimes the agents just don't leave feedback. So make sure they know that. And again, asking them how they want to be communicated with, document that, let your admin know. Speak their language, not them speak yours. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. When you're in an appointment, we have to remember some people have never sold a home before. And this could be their first home sale, or some people have never bought a home before. And we're running a mile a minute, this is, we need, this is this. And it's like, stop for a minute and remember that they don't speak our language all the time. And then there's the other side where there's a lot of people who think that they know everything there is about real estate and that you can have those conversations with, speak their language and not speaking yours. So if you have to slow down and say, this is what a BRA is, and go through it. Our agents walk them through what a BRA is. So there's never questions afterwards. It kills two birds with one stone. One is it saves for all those little conversations after your meeting. And two, it makes them feel better in the moment that they understand. And always asking, do you have any questions? And always show up for them. And I don't mean show up for your appointments. I mean, show up for them. They're your clients. Give them the ultimate client experience. And then just to finish some things off, using a timeline of events with your clients during appointments is a very good visual tool. And at times we would actually leave our timeline of events at their house. So it's just a laminated sheet so they can see, oh, okay, Daniela said Tuesday photos and then this and this and this. And then we also call them, the admins will call and remind them as well and send an email with the timeline of events. But over communicating that timeline is so vital. We found that it has eliminated a lot of like, oh, I don't remember what she said and I don't know this. They can simply print that timeline off, or we leave it with them and they have something to refer back to. Get all your paperwork signed up front, not because it drives your admin nuts when you don't. It just looks better for you and you don't have to go back to the client and ask them for silly things. And as you're going to set yourself up to not look the best when you have to go back and say, you know what, we forgot a signature, we forgot about this. I mean, not every situation, but imagine if you had all your paperwork signed and you never have to talk about that piece of paperwork again. And you never have to hear from your admin, you didn't get this signed. Get it signed up front, all at once. And send a client a copy of their paperwork or leave it at their house. Us as an admin, so when the agent comes back to the office, we would send them their paperwork via email, so they had a copy of it as well. So just some really great points, guys, and definitely during this process, has been these are our top 3 systems within our team. And I'll say it again, business tracking, guys, if you're on this call right now, and before we sign off, please get a system in place. Admins, get a system in place for every individual agent, whether you're a team or a single agent with an admin, and make it scalable. And track what your business is doing. And then refer back to it weekly. In fact, I challenge everybody to kind of put a tracking system in place and then every Monday having a conversation about the week before. What's the worst thing that can happen? An organized business, a great system, and a great tracker for years to come. So again, if anyone needs anything at all, I do believe I've actually put my contact information in here. So as long as it's coming through. Oh, actually, I forgot about this. So an added bonus is building your brand. So while you're at home now and you have your home office all put together, one of the things I was going to just add for time, if we had time, was talking about books to read for social media and content. And for those of us who want to break the social media mold while we're home, a lot of people have an opportunity now with these virtual open houses and virtual videos we get to do. You're building a brand. On top of selling homes and helping buyers, you're actually building yourself up in the social media world, and something that we really need to be doing. We need to get in front of the camera more. And these last few weeks has given a lot of us an opportunity. So the one book I wasn't able to see it anymore available on Amazon. So it's called The Intelligent Influencer. I can't find it anywhere now. The Content Fuel Framework is another great read. It actually helps you create stories and content for your work and sell like crazy. This one is just a fun, fast read on how to get as many clients as you possibly can. And think Sell It Like Sirhan, that book. I mean, that was a really good book. I don't want to compare the two, but Sell It Like Crazy is a good book. I actually just got the book. I haven't started, or sorry, I'm only a little bit into it, and it's just a really fun read so far for me. So if anyone can get anything from those three books, that would be amazing. And then last but not least, guys, if anyone needs anything from me during the week or has any questions, especially when we're doing these pre-recorded calls again, my contact information is coming up here as soon as we scroll there. Valerie at knightonrealestate.com, my Instagram handle, and my Facebook group. So Strategic Admin is actually a closed Facebook group now, and inviting invite only. So if you'd like to be part of that group, please let me know, and my cell phone number, so you can call, text me if you need me. And I think that's it, guys. So thank you. And again, I apologize for the inconvenience of us getting booted out of our Zoom call, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this call this week. And I will talk to you all next week.